Good evening, everybody. It is almost 7:30 at night. It's been a very busy, eventful evening, or day, I should say. When I first woke up, I did not know. I'm gonna have to clean this off. It's got a lot of wax on it. I did not know what I wanted to do today because of I me and Jerry worked our butts off last night, and I woke up a little sore and tired, and excuse me. We were under flood watches and thunderstorm warnings and a whole lot of other little weather events. A little bit of thunder, didn't really see any lightning, a lot of rain. But the energy coming off the storm gave me a boost of energy to do some stuff. Because at first, me and Jerry were like, "Oh, let's just take the day off and just enjoy some downtime." Because you have to give your body some rest every so often so it can recuperate. And that's what I thought I was going to do. But then that storm came in, and I was just kind of like, "Oh, I feel good. Let's do something." And we did a little work in our bedroom to start prepping it for carpet ripping and a whole 9 yards. That probably won't start until Tuesday because Monday we got to go in there and finish cleaning it up, and maybe Monday evening, depending on how I feel, we're gonna do the carpet ripping. Now I know a lot of people are probably like, "Well, why don't you do some tomorrow because you don't have to worry about a schedule?" Well, the reason why I'm not going to do anything tomorrow is because tomorrow, which is Sunday, Jerry set it up as our official day of rest because, Sunday. Hold on. My washing machine is making noise, and I'm listening to make sure it doesn't start making like a loud noise because it's off balance. Yep. Give me 1 second, folks. There for a second, I thought I was just gonna have to just stand there and stare it down. My washing machine is, well, it was originally my mom's, and oh, according to her, it's probably a good 10 years old. So, you know how machines after time, wear and tear and whatnot, it either needs somebody to come out and do some maintenance work on it or just needs to be monitored. Every so often I just go in there and boom, and it's like, okay, I worked right. Sometimes I just have to open it up and shift some of the laundry in there to give it some more weight balance. I swear some of the household equipment around this house likes testing my patience to see what I'll do. Most times I'll just work with it. Sometimes I'll ignore it. Sometimes I'll get a good thump. Man's perspective on how to fix equipment. If a good rap on the top of it does not fix it, it is broken. I don't know, I'm just joking there. Like I said, I didn't have to give it a good thump this time. I just had to open it up and, distribute the weight. I thought I was going to have to just thump it once, but nah. It was weight distributation it needed. But as I was saying, ooh, I don't think I needed that whole energy add in. Like I was saying, um, my my energy level was at a decent level for a while, and I went in. Jerry Ann and I did some work on our bedroom. Um, Cleaned up some stuff. Prepped some stuff to go into the closet because we had Jerry had a bunch of hangable clothing that she wants to keep, but it's more winterized clothing than spring summer type clothing. So she put those in garment bags, and we're gonna put the garment bags on the top shelf of our closet on top of the seasonal clothing boxes. Um, so we're moving. I mean, granted, we were slow today, but we're moving along little by little. And sometimes, like Jerry keeps on telling me, sometimes you have to give yourself a little bit of grace and go, hey, you worked your butt off the day before. Um, that's one of the reasons why you're hurting and you have no energy. And two, just if you're gonna do any kind of hard not hardcore, but any kind of work the next day after doing some extremely hardcore work around your house, give yourself the grace to go, okay, I know I can do it. My brain wants me to do it. I have some energy. Let's go ahead and use a little bit of that energy to work on the projects. Um, you know, nobody's asking anybody to get it all done in one fail swoop. Um, it takes more than a day to pack up a house and move out of the house. It takes more than a day, and more than a week, sometimes more than a week to pack up a house. It takes at least 2 to 3 days to unpack your house and get your house situated after you moved into a new location. It's almost the same thing as like what we're doing. We're literally going room by room, cleaning up those rooms, decluttering those rooms. Granted, sometimes you have to move some stuff from one room to another room to finish the one room you're working on. Like right now, we had to move, um, we had to move the queen size bed out of the guest room to put a king size bed in there, which we were temporarily sleeping on the king. And we're trying to work on our room, and we're hoping before July 7th, or no, yes, before July 7th, we'll have everything done that we wanted to do in our room and the guest room, and maybe start working on the craft room a little bit before we have our guests come. Worst case scenario, me and Jerry basically said, worst case scenario, we'll have to put our queen size mattress on the platform for the king in our bedroom and figure out sleeping arrangements. Now, I don't know how hard it is to sleep on a queen size box spring, but I'm pretty sure if I moved my office chair out of this room or tucked it somewhere in a corner and laid down the queen size box spring, I could easily sleep on that by myself. Maybe, I don't know. But best case scenario is our new king size bed will get here before Lisa and them get here, and we'll figure out where I'll probably end up sleeping on the couch. Or if our bedroom is done and Lisa says it's okay, Jerry and Lisa will sleep on the king, and I'm gonna have we're moving the click clack sofa, which is basically a futon type bed that's not flat on the floor. It's up a little bit on a pedestal or a frame. That's going to go on at the foot of our bed in our new room if things work out the way we're hoping to. And I'll just lay it down and sleep on it for a couple of days. It's not the most comfortable thing to sleep on, but it's better than nothing. Of course, I might sleep on it one day and go, no, I didn't like the sleeping on the click clack, or the fact or just the sense of somebody, whether it's me or Lisa, being uncomfortable with me being in there, I'll be like, I'll just go sleep on the living room couch. I don't care. It's a lot more comfortable than that click-clack bed. That's for dang sure. But both me and Jerry, after we did work in our room, we made we made dinner. I did not record it because it was a simple thing. We have frozen Angus hamburgers that we basically cooked on a flat grill surface that Jerry could work on at the kitchen table. And basically we made homemade mushroom bacon Swiss burgers with sauteed onions. Yeah. Jerry had 2. I had 1.5. Mom had 1 regular just bacon cheeseburger. No mushrooms, no onions, no barbecue sauce. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I love eating out every so often. I don't love getting hamburgers when I go to eat out because 9 times out of 10, especially when you go to get a cheeseburger or a bacon cheeseburger from Wendy's, McDonald's, Burger King, or any other fast food burger joint, they do not melt that cheese on there, and I like my cheese melted on my burger. They'll slap a piece of cheese on the burger and let the burger melt it, not the way I do it. The way I do it is simple. You put the hamburger in there, you let it brown, you flip it over, let it brown, put your cheese on top of it, and put a little lid on it, let it steam itself, and then take it off your frying pan, grill, or whatever you're cooking, whatever cook surface you're working on. Slap it in between 2 pieces of bread or a bun or whatever, and no, I'm sorry, melted cheese on a burger is better than just slapping a slice of cheese on. Anybody can slap a piece of cheese on it. And you want a good cheeseburger, you melt that cheese. And for simple tricks and tips, all you have to do, once your hamburger is browned on both sides, put whatever cheese you're going to use, American, Swiss, Havarti, cheddar, Monterey Jack, pepper jack, whatever cheese you want on that burger, you put it on your burger. You take a simple lid that you would put on a pot on your stove. Most of our lids are glass so we can see through it. You put it on there and you just let the heat from the surface of your cooking platform steam the interior of the lid, causing that melt to get that cheese to get nice and ooey gooey meltedness. I love it that way. But yeah, it was a good day, very good day. But I'm glad tomorrow is our day of rest because I'm not setting an alarm clock. And I know for a fact that if it wasn't a combination of Jerry waking up multiple times and waking me up at 9:30 because of a needed situation. It wasn't a 911 go to the doctor type thing. It was just like she needed me to help her out with something personal. I don't talk about it. Let's just say what did she say? Old lady problems. And for those of you who are in their 50s or above with various control issues, you kind of understand what I'm talking about. Hold on one second. Oh, yeah, the wheels? Yeah. Yeah, okay. That thing is full? Yeah, I'm gonna run it tonight. I knew I was gonna have to. Yeah, okay. Alright, thanks, Mom. Mom was having some problems with the dishwasher because you know how sometimes when you pull the bottom part that rolls too far to one direction, it wants to come off its track. She was having that issue. I don't ask mom to do much around the house. She chooses to do the dishes. I don't ask her to do the dishes. I don't, request or demand that she does the dishes. She wants to do the dishes because it's one of the few things that she can do to not only help out with chores around the house, but to I don't know how to put it. But she does it by without prompting or whatnot. I know there are a couple days that she just doesn't feel like doing the dishes, and I can usually tell because if she doesn't come out to do the dishes within 30 to 45 minutes after we've had dinner, I sometimes check on her to make sure she's okay, and I politely ask her, I'm like, are you feeling all right? Are you going to be able to do the dishes? Do you want me to do them for you? So she does the dishes, and I'm happy, and she's happy, and we're all happy. So that's all that matters. Because I've told her a couple times, if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't be in this house. And I feel that me doing what I do for this house is to basically thank her and repay her in one way or another for, the roof over our head. Even though we are paying our fair share of splitting the tab for mortgage, utilities, phone, all the house bills basically. I said it before. Mom splits the house bills with me and Jerry. We have a joint house account, which basically means we each put I think we each put in about 2,000. No, I don't think it's even that much. Well, we put half of the bills into this joint account, and we sit down with the joint account and basically pay all the bills, including mortgage and whatnot, and food that is consumed by the whole family. It's basically family food. Anything that's personal, like mom goes out and buys Cokes, Coca-Cola, cigarettes, snack, junk food, whatever personal items that she wants or needs on her own personal account, and we do the same thing. All our junk, snacks, going out, things of that nature, shopping at Dollar Tree or Dollar General, that's our personal money coming out. So the house account does not pay for any of our credit cards, does not pay for any of our personal items, personal use items, things of that nature. That's how we basically not only help control our spending, but we also make sure that the house account has proper amount of money for paying the bills, and if there's anything left over because the bills have gone down or we don't have to pay as much because one thing or another has caused a decrease in the amount of spending through the house account on especially food, because food budget seems to fluctuate and vary from month to month. So whatever money is left in the house account after the bills are paid for and after the monthly big spend for groceries, that is basically left in there for, well, no, lately me and Jerry have been paying for to-goes or order outs or thing of that nature. But we have used the house account once in a while for, oh, we're too tired to cook. What can we order on the house account? What kind of dinner can we order? But lately it's been usually on one of my credit cards or one of Jerry Ann's credit cards because we've got decent amount of money left on those credit cards. Even though I keep on saying, don't use credit cards. There may be a day that we have to emergency use one or more credit cards for, God forbid, an emergency. Um, okay. This video has already been about 20 minutes long, so I'm going to go ahead and, well, I'm going to continue for a little bit. Because I'm probably going to do a, another video after this, because this morning, in my half awake, half asleep brain, I read some of the comments from my last video and realized, oops, I accidentally deleted a video of reading from the American Cozy book on how to adjust or fix up your basement, cellar, or attic space. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing. Why? I'm going to paraphrase it because I read it and I remember what it said, and I'm just going to go ahead and open it up just in case I do want to glance at it. But basically what she was talking about, because one, as she stated in her first paragraph before giving the hints and tips on how to make your basement, cellar, attic space more usable for entertainment or whatever you plan on using it for besides storage. So, just to paraphrase it, she talked about how when she was younger, she did not have in her home that she lived in when she was younger a basement or an attic or a cellar, but her cousins did, and she remembers how creepy it was for her to go down into the basement to grab a jar of jelly or preserves or pickles that were in her aunt's basement, let alone going up into an attic where the stairs are a little sketchy because they're creaky and make weird noises. And a lot of people who have attics don't always use the attic space for living or entertainment. So it's dimly lit, dank, dark, stinky, smelly, dusty. You know, all kinds of health issues could be from either basement or cellar or attic. So what she talks about is to give your space some proper walls or a finished ceiling, easy to clean floors. Finish the room not only more a finished room not only is more comfortable for a human to enjoy, but it is safer. This is especially true if there is exposed insulation in your attic, or as a bonus, finishing the room will also discourage animals from taking residence. Yeah, it's nothing like going into an attic or a basement and seeing a rat, a mouse, a roach, or God forbid, possum, raccoon scurrying across the flooring of any one of the places. Now, your attic will attract, like my cousin, the attic before he finished it in Ohio, attracted bats, little brown bats. And I remember going and visiting him one time, and we went up there with badminton rackets, trying to knock the stuffing out of the flying bat. Fun, but dangerous, because even though they had a flooring, the ceiling joists and insulation was exposed, which means wiring was exposed. So if you put finished up the floor, put drywall and whatnot on your walls and ceiling area, so it would cover up the insulation and the wiring, you have less. It's less cozy for the bats, mice, rodents, and pests that can get into your home. So you'll have less likely issues with loose insulation, exposed wiring, things of that nature. Just like in his basement, because he had both an attic and a basement, his basement was partially finished. The area that they used for laundry and whatnot, it was an uneven concrete floor. The only room down there out of the 3 spaces that were finished was the one room that they had set up that was set up by the previous owner, and they just refurbished it, a wet bar with a pool table. Now, my cousin and his father and his family don't drink, so there was no alcohol in the basement. But the fact of that, the other room that before his father gave it to him was basically unfinished, had exposed walls, exposed insulation, exposed wiring and whatnot. It That was the only room down there in that basement I wouldn't go into. But when he inherited the house, basically when his mom and dad moved out of the house and he got it because his older sister didn't wanted to live someplace on her own, he finished the basement, he finished the attic. So when I went to see him a couple years back, he had 3 kids, and he wanted basically the kids, for the safety of the kids, he wanted basically clean up the house. And he wanted to do some refurbishing and add on a big back porch, and a whole lot of different good stuff. He basically fixed up the house for his kids, and he was making good money and whatnot, so he could afford it with no problems. Next one she says is, if a space is not tall enough for your tallest friend or family member to stand in, consider digging a foot or 2 deeper or raising the ceiling a bit. Excuse me. No, it might taint it. I might get a tainted taste. Sorry about all the interruptions. First my laundry machine, then thinking mom was having problems, and then my wife decided to get Dairy Queen. Don't be jealous. Now the bit with digging a foot or 2 in your cellar and or raising the ceilings. Now, that's an undaunting task, because if you have a basement with a finished flooring, you're having to you break up and dig up all that concrete and then add special risers, and there's a lot of things that you have to do just to raise a ceiling, or dig a couple more, a foot or 2 more in your basement area. If you can afford it, I say go for it. But most basements that I've been into, except for 1 or 2 that were more like root cellars and not basements, they're kind of designed for your average person. Most places I've ever been in that have, like my cousin's basement, I'm 5'8", 5'9", depending on my shoes. maybe 5'10", like I said, depending on my shoes. And the last time I was at my cousin's house, I was wearing shoes with a little extra heel or foot, whatnot. And I still had a little bit of space because I think he told me that when they measured the basement to see if they can add a fake ceiling or whatnot, the ceiling before the fake ceiling, like the original height, was about, I think he said it was 6'2", 6'4", somewhere around there. So when they added the fake ceiling, it kind of took up a foot or two of space and whatnot to be level and even, because the house was very old. In fact, to tell you a little bit more about my cousin's house, just because I loved my cousin's house and I still do. That house was built probably before the Civil War. Don't know exactly when. I think they said it was no, not 19. Basically, the house is almost 150 years old. Still in great condition because it was taken care of by the previous owners and previous families, plus my cousin's family. And they showed me 3 places in the house that were quite interesting. One, they had to kind of partially move a panel in the upstairs bathroom. Was a tunnel or a staircase that led from the upstairs to the downstairs, what was the downstairs bathroom. They had to cover those up because of, well, certain dangers, because that part of the house was not maintained because it was a secret passageway. And the other place that they pointed out was from the cellar, the basement area of their house, that you can tell when they opened the door, because there's like a little doorway there. You can tell that it had partially collapsed a few feet beyond that door. But they said they found out and they discovered through maps and whatnot that there was a passage from that house to a forested area about a mile away. And it's even registered in the Ohio, the house should have had a plaque on it. But according to the Ohio information that they looked up and they even showed me, it was registered as a house that was part of the Underground Railroad during the slave days. I hate using that word, slave. Ugh. But he had done a lot of fixing up. He originally wanted to try to dig out the tunnel and just explore it. And I went, if it's collapsed after all this time, you don't want to dig it out, because whatever they use to fill it in after it collapsed is just going to cause more problems and somebody can get hurt. Because I was also kind of like, ooh, I'd love to explore this, but no. I foresee too many issues. But I love his house. Another one she says is watch air quality. Install ventilation ceiling fans or wall-mounted fans and access to outdoor air, so there is always a supply of fresh air. Now, my cousin's house doesn't have to worry about that because there are a couple different windows, like just above ground level windows, that they can open up and let in air. The only reason why they don't open it up is because of the factor, unless they're really mindful of the weather, is water can seep in through those windows. Luckily, a lot of those windows, they've either fixed or adjusted, or because they created like an overhang or a way to keep water from coming to those windows. He doesn't have that problem like they did when they first moved there. Because I remember when I first saw them back in the 80s after Grandma April died, before my father passed away. Going down in there, it's like, oh, this is nice. It's got a lot of great workable space, but it had that musty, stinky, humid smell. Well, my cousin, when he took it over, he added wall-mounted fans with dehumidifiers and various different devices to keep that moist, dank smell out of the basement. Same with the attic. He just added a little extra ventilation. Use aromatherapy diffusers and vegetable-based essential oil candles to help improve the odor of underground spaces. There you go. She talks about aromatherapy and vegetable-based essential candles. The downside with the candles is you can't really burn them all the time unless you know they're in a safe spot and they won't get knocked over by the family pet or the kids or anything like that. But yeah, essential, aromatherapy, essential oil diffusers, which can plug into any wall-mounted plug, are great because factor. You can buy these. They're called wallflowers. You can buy them at Bed Bath and Beyond, and they've got various smells and fragrances that you can pop the little canister of oil into the device, plug it in. You just have to check it every so often to make sure that you're not, out of oil, because if you run out of oil, there is that slim possibility of flamage, fire, because of heat. The other thing, which I think my cousin did, was paint the spaces a warm, light color. His basement space in the area where the pool table is, they basically put the wooden slat wall type covering. It looks like wood paneling on your walling, but it's not that thin 70s stuff. It's more modernized and looks great in there. And then the walls for his workspace, the room that I didn't like when his father owned it, my uncle, he painted it a nice bright color and turned it into his workspace. And then the area where the water heater and furnace and washer and dryer, they painted it a nice, like, really, really, really blue gray, not really blue but not totally gray type coloring. Actually no, that's wrong, because that space is what she wanted done up, and I think she had it painted like an eggshell blue. The next thing, which is like any space you're going to use every day, like they use the basement on a regular basis. So there's, as she puts it here, install adequate lighting in your basement, cellar, or attic. I can understand that, especially in areas that you're going to be using a lot, like their basement. You want adequate lighting so you're not stumbling, bumbling, or bumping into things in the half light of dimly lit rooms. Same with the attic. If you're going to be using the attic space as something more than just storage, add enough lighting so you don't have to worry about the heat of the sunlight, but you have enough adequate lighting in there so you can see your way around without tripping over cardboard boxes of storage, whatever you want to store your stuff in. Next one is, if you like to use your basement or attic as storage, this is what I was just talking about a moment ago, install shelves, cabinets, and other places where items can be stored. Other thing I would say about storage, especially if you're going to use your basement as storage or any place that has a chance of getting wet, like a lot of basements, sometimes it's raining so hard outside that water will bubble up from the drain pipes, which I'll tell you about a house that we lived in here in Arizona, here in Missouri. Me and Mom lived in. Now I'll tell you about it and the reason why I didn't like that house. But if you have a space where you're storing stuff and you're using cardboard boxes, especially cardboard boxes, make sure those cardboard boxes are up on a shelf or up high. They're not sitting directly on concrete or on the floor of your basement. I would prefer not to use cardboard boxes for long-term storage in the first place, especially in a place that I'm not going to be living in or being active in, because your cardboard boxes, one, if they get wet, and you don't know about it because it's in a spot that you don't see the wetness. Wet boxes will start to deteriorate, which will start to cause problems with your components inside the box. That, in fact, if you have like fabrics or other items that are cloth, wood, non-plastic or non-metal items, um, those items, when they get that moisture from the box, between the box breaking down, which the box itself will start to get once it starts getting too wet, we'll start to get the stuff on the inside wet. And if you have cloth or any kind of material that can hold on to the moisture, um, those items are going to get moldy and musty and nasty and black mold and just um, 9 times out of 10, it's better to just throw the item away than trying to clean it up, because unfortunately with certain kinds of materials, once those materials get black mold spores inside the material, unless you plan on bleaching the crap out of the item or soaking the item for long periods of time in vinegar or apple cider vinegar or some kind of chemical like vinegar that won't cause the fabric to deteriorate or discolor or anything like that, yeah, you're not going to get rid of that. That's always going to be in there. It's very hard to get rid of black mold. In fact, most professionals will tell you once you have an item with black mold, the only thing you can do is get rid of it, destroy it, burn it, get it out of your house, get it out of your life. That's why when houses, if they get so bad that there's black mold developing in the house, they literally have to tell everybody to leave the house, take whatever possessions that they're going to need for a couple of days to a week, get out of the house, so they can put like a tent around the house and just literally, the only way I can describe it is they add certain chemicals to the environment of the house that it practically embalms and chokes the life out of black mold to the point where there's no black mold left. Worst case scenario I've ever heard of is a house had to literally be torn down by people in hazmat suits, and the wood and materials that were basically infested with the black mold had to be burnt, destroyed, and then they had to rebuild the house, which cost the owner buku money. And that's probably one of the reasons why mom doesn't want to own houses, because if something like that happens, she can basically say, it ain't my problem, it was there before her, and leave. I don't know, but mom's never liked owning places. We owned, I should say, a house in Mesa and a house in Paradise Valley, Arizona. And house in Mesa was basically between her and dad. And the house in Paradise Valley, we thought it was going to be more permanent, but yeah, things happened. But anyhow, she also says in here, visit your cellar or attic once every week or two. If a raccoon has taken residence in your attic or a small hole appears in the cellar, you can address this issue immediately before you have a problem that affects the rest of the home. She's right. Basically, if you don't have a lot of activities in your basement, cellar, or attic, you want to go down there at least once, maybe twice a week, to inspect for holes, infestation of one kind of critter or another. Raccoons especially, they love to take up residence in an attic where they can build a nest and keep their home, their kids, their babies and whatnot out of the elements, so they don't have to worry about the direct rain or snow or their hole in the ground or wherever they take up whatever they like to basically take over nesting holes or whatnot that were built by some other animal, so they don't have to worry about going through the process of making their own. Your raccoons can get into the attic. They can climb up the wall, get into your attic in one way, shape, or another. Whether you have a tree that overhangs your roof, and they get onto your roof from there, and then they find a spot that they can rip open or whatnot and climb in to claim it as their own home. Between the stench, the droppings, the babies, all the different things, raccoons are cute and cuddly looking and whatnot, but they can be very, very destructive. If you live out in the country like I do, you open up your trash can and you can see how they've torn your trash can apart just looking for scraps of food. They're vicious enough to literally go into a bird's nest or a hollowed out tree log where a squirrel or some other animal has taken up residence, and they'll go in there and they'll kill the babies and just claim it as their own. They can be vicious, mean little bastards. But that's one of the reasons why you don't want them taking up residence in your home. It's bad enough when you find out you open up one of your storage boxes that you notice there's a hole in there. You open it up and you find a mouse and its family that took up residence in your winter clothing or whatever was in the box, especially a cardboard box. I've seen that happen. It's happened to... Actually, what it was is one year, the first year we were living here, and we had a hard plastic wreath box that we weren't hanging from the back of the door. We were just putting it on the ground or laying it on top of other boxes. And one year, I went out there and found that there was a hole chewed into it, and I opened it up, and nearly 90% of the content of what was in there had been chewed up, turned into a mouse's nest, and basically most of it we couldn't even salvage. We had to just throw away just about everything in that box. And that's when we switched to plastic zipper bags, and I try to get in and out of that closet as much as possible just to deter rodents from getting in there. But we think one of the reasons why it attracted the rodent was because either there was a smell or something in the box that had a smell that attracted the rodent, and yeah, it decided to make a nest there. One of the other things, excuse me, one of the other things I found out is if you have indoor storage, in other words, you have a basement or an attic, and you have a cat, especially a cat. If you have a cat and the cat starts acting strange by the door, whining, crying, peeing, anything of that nature, to either try to get through that door or try to mark its territory like it's trying to keep something from coming through the door. Usually that's one of many telltale signs that you have a rodent or a pest or infestation in that area. Especially my cousin's cat, she used to go bonkers by the door up into the attic, and that's when we discovered that we had bats in the attic, and the cat wanted to get up there and chase them out, whatever. A lot of times, depending on the reaction of the animal near the door, depends on what kind of problem you have. If it's, just knowing cats the way I know, if they act afraid near the door, it's probably something bigger than the cat, more dangerous than the cat. You might want to call pest control. If it acts like it's whining to get out, like if it's an indoor-outdoor cat and it's whining like it wants to get out of the house by your attic or your basement door, it's usually it wants to go investigate whatever it's smelling beyond the door, whether it's mice. Right? Most of the times, when it's mice or small rodents, they'll be like, I want to go get them. I want to go get them. I want to go get them. If it's like they're whining by the door and then leaving pee by the door, it's usually something big like a raccoon or something that it knows is harmful. Um, just like according to ancient Egyptians, when a cat growled or hissed for no reason, it's because something from the underworld was trying to get too close to you. Um, Especially if the cat's acting all calm and cool and sitting on your leg or sitting next to you, and then all of a sudden stands up, arches its back, looks past you, and starts to hiss or growl or act not really scared but aggressive. It's trying to protect you from harm. Um, Different ways cats basically show different signs of alertness. Just like cats, if they're indoor or outdoor cats and they try to bring in a dead or half alive mouse or bird, is trying to show you appreciation and affection. Just some of the many things I've learned about cats because I've owned cats. I had, yes, I'm sorry, this is going to be a long video. I had a cat who loved to try to bring in live mice, live birds, live palmetto beetles into our house. And we were like, what the, is wrong with this cat? Well, years later, I learned, oh, that's how a cat shows affection. Not only does the purring and rubbing its head against you or anything like that is other ways that they show affection, but bringing a gift of that nature is a sincere, like, thank you very much. I really appreciate you taking care of me. I appreciate our companionship, that kind of thing. That's why a lot of people say dogs are easier, because the fact that they don't try to bring you gifts like that. They show affection by being with you, laying next to you, laying their head on you, putting their paw or head on your knee when you're feeling depressed or sad. That's why dogs are great companion animals for those who have health issues, because they sense that you're having an issue and they either try to be there with you to make sure you are okay, or they run off to get another member of the family, like, hey, mom's having a seizure, you might want to come this way. Actually, some dogs who are trained to deal with people who have seizures, the dog is trained to lay on top of them so they don't shake so violently that they hurt themselves. Other dogs are trained to go get assistance, or barking sometimes brings people back to normality, or attracts attention, like, oh, something's wrong with the person, the dog's trying to get our attention, okay, let's see what we can do. Mary Fry, who my wife loves and is good friends with via Facebook and YouTube, her dog which is a Labradoodle. When she was having bad CF issues, health issues, the dog was right there to basically keep an eye on her to make sure she was okay. Was trained to basically fetch Peter, or had some sort of special training on how to get help for Mary if it was a severe issue. Me, I can go either way. I like cats. I like dogs. I love both. I love both. I prefer a dog because they're more human-oriented companionship type thing. I loved my cats when I had them. My last cat, Lita. We're not going to go there because I'll start crying. But anyhow, her points on how to make your basement or attic or cellar more people friendly and whatnot are really good. I don't have a basement or a usable attic space right now. I have a crawl space under my house, or a crawl space above. It's really it's an attic for storage, not for anything more than that, unless I wanted to find a way to put a staircase from inside the house and then raise the roof another 6 feet, 5 to 6 feet. but I don't see any rhyme or reason for it. If we had moved into a house that had a full functioning basement or an attic space that I could stand up and not crawl around in, I would probably take a lot of that advice under my wing and go, okay, what can I do to make this more human friendly and hide the exposed wires and insulation in the attic, or add lighting and whatnot to the basement. If I had let's just put it this way: living where I live, if I had a full basement, whether it was finished or not, I would prefer at least a partially finished basement where I can add my own paint or my own decor or furniture or whatnot. I would probably take a corner of the. I should be eating this now before it totally melts. But I don't want to eat it in front of you. I would want to take one of the rooms and turn it into a emergency shelter room with heavy duty steel plating and whatnot to protect me from earthquake or tornado. Even though this area is not prone to earthquakes, the San Madres fault line that runs up the Mississippi from the Ohio Valley all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico, if that ever decides to become as active as a lot of the fault lines in California, I definitely want a protective shelter for that, because no. But anyhow, this video is almost an hour long. I'm going to go ahead and end it. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and put them in the question comment box. I know I was going to talk about a house that we used to live in, me and Mom used to live in, that had a basement. It was an unfinished full basement, and it was just nasty. I can tell you more stories about that later if you want. Just go ahead and ask about them in the comments. But yeah, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and put them in there. If you're new to my channel and you enjoyed this video, or have enjoyed some of my other videos, maybe this is the video that's going to tilt you into making the decision of subscribing. That is your choice, though. I'm not begging for subscribers. I never, want anybody to feel like I'm not giving you the choice of joining or not joining. But if you do decide to join, you can click that button. And once you click that button, a little bell will pop up. Click on that bell, and YouTube will let you know when I come out with my next video. So until next time, guys, have a good evening. Enjoy. I forgot what else I was going to say. Yeah, have a good evening, enjoy, and keep cozy. Have a good one. Bye.